Welcome to the latest update. An unprecedented event has unfolded in the Middle East. Recent reports have emerged from Iran, stating that multiple drones have targeted one of its military factories in the city of Isfahan. A flurry of international news outlets have picked up the story, echoing the seriousness of the event. Interestingly, US media outlets have stirred the pot, suggesting a potential Israeli involvement in the attack. As we delve deeper into this issue, we will uncover the potential implications of this attack on regional and global security. To understand the gravity of this situation, we must first look at the historical context. Iran and Israel, two nations in the Middle East, have had a long-standing conflict that spans decades. This tension is not a sudden flare-up, but a culmination of years of political and ideological differences punctuated by occasional outbreaks of violence. Our story begins in the mid-20th century. Back then, Iran and Israel shared a relatively cordial relationship. Iran was one of the first Muslim-majority countries to recognize Israel as a sovereign state after its establishment in 1948. The two nations even had economic and military cooperation. But this friendly relation didn't last long. The turning point came in 1979 with the Iranian Revolution. The pro-Western Shah was overthrown, and an Islamic Republic was established. The new regime viewed Israel as an illegitimate state, a sentiment echoed by many in the region. From there on, the relationship between the two countries deteriorated rapidly. In the years that followed, Iran and Israel found themselves on opposing sides of various conflicts in the Middle East. Iran has been accused of funding and supporting groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Palestine, both of which have been involved in conflicts with Israel. On the other hand, Israel has often voiced concerns over Iran's nuclear program, fearing it could be used to develop nuclear weapons. The tension between the two nations reached a boiling point with several incidents that shook the region. There were assassinations of Iranian nuclear scientists, which Iran blamed on Israel. In return, Israel accused Iran of planning attacks on Israeli diplomats abroad. Then there were cyber attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities, which again were attributed to Israel. This tit-for-tat exchange has only added fuel to the fire. Fast forward to today, the relationship between the two countries is at its lowest. There's a sense of mutual distrust and animosity. The rhetoric on both sides has become increasingly hostile, and the possibility of a full-blown conflict looms large. And this brings us to the latest incident in this saga, the drone attack on a military factory in Isfahan, Iran. While no one has claimed responsibility, US media outlets have suggested that Israel might be behind it. This adds another layer to the already complex and strained relationship between Iran and Israel. With this historical backdrop, the recent drone attack takes on a new significance. Now let's dive into the details of the reported drone attack. In the early hours of the day, the tranquility of Isfahan, a city known for its Persian architecture, was shattered. Multiple drones, as silent as the night itself, targeted one of Iran's military factories. Like a scene from a dystopian movie, these unmanned machines, armed to the teeth, descended upon the unsuspecting city. The military factory, a symbol of Iran's defense capabilities, was caught off guard. The drones operated with a chilling precision, hitting their targets and causing substantial damage. The city's slumber was broken by the thunderous echoes of explosions, turning the peaceful night into a scene of chaos and confusion. As the sun rose, it illuminated the extent of the destruction. The military factory was a smoldering ruin, a stark contrast to the city's usual serene mornings. The aftermath was a grim reminder of the destructive power of these drones, a technology that has become a game-changer on the modern battlefield. In the wake of the attack, Iran was quick to respond. The nation's authorities launched an immediate investigation into the incident. The initial shock and confusion gradually gave way to a resolve to uncover the perpetrators behind this audacious attack. The country's defense system, although caught off guard, was far from defeated. The drones, having completed their deadly mission, disappeared as quickly as they had appeared. Their origin and controllers remain a mystery, adding another layer to the growing tension in the region. While the dust settles in Isfahan, the world holds its breath, waiting for the next move. The drone attack on Iran's military factory is a stark reminder of the fragile peace that hangs in the balance. Amid the wreckage and ruins, the search for answers continues, and with it, the hope for a peaceful resolution. The question on everyone's mind, is Israel involved? In the wake of the drone attack on an Iranian military factory, US media outlets have been quick to suggest a possible link to Israel. But why Israel? What could be the potential motivations and implications for such an act? First, let's look at the historical context. Israel and Iran have been locked in a bitter rivalry for decades. It's a tangled web of geopolitical interests, religious differences, and strategic power plays. Israel's main concern has been Iran's nuclear program, which it views as a direct threat to its national security. Therefore, any chance to disrupt Iran's military capabilities would be a strategic win for Israel. Now let's consider the timing. The attack comes at a time of heightened tensions between the two nations. Every move is scrutinized, every action loaded with significance. An attack of this nature could serve multiple purposes: a show of strength, a warning, or an attempt to provoke retaliation. But what about the implications? If Israel is indeed behind the attack, it would mark a significant escalation in their ongoing power struggle. It could also potentially strain Israel's relations with other countries, particularly those trying to negotiate a return to the Iran nuclear deal. Then there's the question of evidence. So far, there hasn't been any concrete proof linking Israel to the attack. It's all based on speculation and circumstantial evidence. Israel, for its part, has remained silent, neither confirming nor denying involvement. So, where does this leave us? In a world of smoke and mirrors, where truth is often the first casualty of war. The US media's suggestions of Israel's involvement are just that, suggestions. They paint a picture of a possible scenario, but without definitive proof, they remain part of the realm of conjecture. While Israel remains tight-lipped, the speculation continues. Until there's more clarity, the world watches and waits, caught in the crossfire of a shadowy conflict that shows no signs of abating. In the wake of this attack, we must consider the potential global implications. Emerging from the shadows of this incident, the world finds itself at a precarious crossroads. What transpired in Isfahan was not an isolated incident but a domino that could potentially tip the balance of global security and diplomacy. The first ripple effect we must consider is the potential escalation in regional conflict. The Middle East has long been a hotbed of geopolitical tension, and this incident could add fuel to the simmering discord. Israel and Iran have been locked in a shadow conflict for years. A direct attack such as this could potentially intensify the situation, leading to further destabilization in the region. In the face of this escalating tension, other nations in the region may find themselves compelled to choose sides, further deepening the divisions. Allies of both countries could be drawn into the fray, widening the conflict beyond the borders of Iran and Israel. This is not merely a regional issue, it's a global one. Beyond the regional implications, we must also take into account the role of other global powers. The United States and Russia, two of the world's superpowers, have vested interests in the Middle East, and their actions in response to this attack will be crucial in determining the trajectory of this conflict. The United States has traditionally been an ally of Israel, while Russia has maintained a close relationship with Iran. This incident could potentially force these nations into a diplomatic tug-of-war, escalating tensions on a global scale. The chessboard of international diplomacy is set for a high-stakes game where the moves made by these superpowers could redefine alliances and reshape the geopolitical landscape. Moreover, this attack could potentially impact global economies. The Middle East holds a significant portion of the world's oil reserves. An escalation in conflict could disrupt oil production, leading to a surge in global oil prices. This, in turn, could trigger economic instability worldwide, affecting everyone from the average car owner to major industries. In conclusion, the implications of the drone attack on the military factory in Isfahan reach far beyond the borders of Iran and Israel. It's a stark reminder of our interconnected world, where an incident in one region can send shockwaves across the globe. The world watches and waits as the fallout from this attack has the potential to reshape the geopolitical landscape. As we wrap up, let's summarize the key points of our discussion. We dove into the recent drone attack on one of Iran's military factories, a shocking event that has caught the attention of the world. The nature of the attack, carried out by multiple drones, suggests a high level of sophistication that points to the involvement of a state actor. We also explored the potential Israel connection. US media have suggested that Israel might be responsible for the attack, but as always, it's crucial to remember that allegations and suspicions are not the same as proof. The truth is, at this juncture, we can't say with certainty who was behind the attack. Finally, we delved into the global implications of this event. The attack has not only strained the already tense relationship between Iran and Israel but also has the potential to create ripples in the international community. It raises questions about drone warfare, national security, and the balance of power in the Middle East. In a world where technology is increasingly used in conflict, it's important to understand the potential repercussions of these actions. They can escalate tensions, provoke retaliations, and potentially even trigger wider conflicts. While the future remains uncertain, one thing is clear: the consequences of this attack will reverberate far beyond the borders of Iran and Israel. Until next time, stay informed and stay safe.